לא, אצל common נוסח וילנה.
Good evening, everyone. This Shiur is dedicated in the loving memory of my beloved Savta, Chaya Helen Goodman, who passed away on a Shabbat, this last Shabbat. She always gave me unconditional love. She believed in me, and she taught me so many things. She was a very spiritual person. She was very positive, and these words of Torah are going to be Le'ilui Nishmata. So Shiur this evening is a special Shiur because it is about the operation The Protective Edge, which took place in 2014 in Gaza, 8 years ago. I was a part of this operation. I was a Rav Tzvei, a military rabbi in a battalion of escort commanders, and I would like to tell you some things about this operation and what could we learn from it for these days. Now, it is very important to bring you back to that time. We really felt the mutual responsibility, the arvut hadadit, and the unity, the achdut in the nation of Israel. I am, as soldiers who were on the border, so we really felt that the whole nation of Israel is giving us love, and numerous parcels were sent to us from Am Yisrael in Israel and also from the diaspora. We had more than anything we needed. I used to tell the soldiers, but if one goes to a random supermarket in the country, is going to see that all the shelves are empty, because but all the civilians have sent everything to the soldiers. There were like a whole pile of different types of shampoos, and a whole pile of towels, anything that a soldier needs. And together with the parcels also came the letters, beautiful letters from children who told us how much they loved us, and that we know that we are helping Hashem protect Am Yisrael. And these letters, it is difficult to describe their impact. They gave such motivation to the soldiers and the commanders. My commander was so touched by these letters that he asked me to hang them up in his control tent. So he and the rest of the commanders are going to see them the whole time and feel the strength from these letters. So the mutual responsibility that we really felt there is actually embedded in the nation of Israel very deep, in a personal and a collective identity if one wants to know what one of the main aspects of the identity of the Jewish people, it is the mutual responsibility, the arvut adadit. So I would like to invite you to come on a journey, a short journey, in the following the source of mutual responsibility that is embedded within us. So our first station is Abraham's brother. Who was Abraham's brother? Does anyone know?
Are you talking about Lavan's father?
Well, it says in that Abraham refers to someone as his brother, even though he really was not his brother. And the answer is Lot. So this was a time that the whole world was silent when crimes against humanity took place. Of the four kings, they brought destruction. They came from Mesopotamia. The king Nimrod was the leader. And they came on a very difficult journey, difficult for anyone they came across, because they just brought destruction. And they took into captive Lot, Abraham's nephew. So Abraham decided to stop this terrible evil in the world. And it says, you could see in the source too, Vaishma Avraham ki nishba achiv. Abraham heard that his brother was taken into captive. Vayarak et chanichav. He took his soldiers, Yelidei Beito. They weren't actually soldiers, but he recruited his Talmidim to be soldiers, to fight for the justice and for the freedom in the world. They were the first fighters for freedom and justice. 318 Talmidim. Vayardof Adan, and they chased the four kings, and they succeeded to stop them and to release those who were taken into captivity. And the question is, why does the Torah call Lot Avram's brother, even though he was not really his brother? He was his nephew. So what do you think?
I mean, I think the most basic possible explanation would be they had a brotherly relationship. I think that could be the simplest way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
They felt like brothers.
Could potentially be similar in age.
Similar age? Well.
Like my dad is like the youngest by he's got a bunch of older brothers. His oldest brother, it's like his closest person in age to him is his cousin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his closest person in age.
Okay.
Similar kind of thing. So it was like someone of the same generation. It seemed like.
Okay. More explanations?
Ulai, perhaps he felt a responsibility for him so great, like it was his brother. The connection was like as Moshe brought it, as a brother.
Right. So what Nissim is saying that even though Lot wasn't his biological brother, Abraham treated him as if he was his brother. And when Abraham heard that he was taken captive, he said, I'm going to do anything in order to save him as if he was my very own brother. And in this act, Abraham actually built the foundation stone for the unique mutual responsibility in the nation of Israel, that from its inspiration we care to everyone of the nation of Israel as if we care to our own very personal brother. Now, we're going to move forward a couple of hundred years to Yehuda and Binyamin. If one wants to discover the essence of anything, one should look at the first place in the Torah where it is written. And the first place that mutual responsibility is written in the Torah is, does anyone know?
So that says on the sheet, no?
Right.
Yehuda and Binyamin, when,
He took responsibility.
Mm-hmm. So, that's right. So, arvut adadit, arvut means mutual responsibility.
He took it upon himself that he was quote unquote the one who caused this whole kerfuffle with Binyamin.
That's right.
He took it on himself.
Mhm.
He said he's the one who's going to go into captivity.
That's right. So it says, you could see it in Yesod 6, the first time in the Torah where it says arvut, mutual responsibility, it is as it says over here, Anochi a'arveno, miadi tevakshenu im lo hevetiv elecha vetzagtiv lefanecha vechatati lecha kol hayamim. So where Yehuda says to his father Yaakov that I am going to have responsibility here towards here Binyamin. I am going to be in his place. I am going to take responsibility as if my own life is depended on it. I'm going to risk my life to do anything to bring him back.
Rabbi, I have a question. In which context was this in?
This was when Yosef, and nobody knew at the time that he was actually Yosef, if they thought that he was the viceroy of Egypt, and he seemingly suspected the brothers as spies, and he told them, if you want to prove to me that you are not spies, you must bring your brother Binyamin. So when they went back to Eretz Yisrael and they reported it to their father Yaakov, he said, it is impossible to bring my last son from Rachel to Mitzrayim, to Egypt. Only when we saw that they didn't have any choice, they didn't have any more food. They were starving actually, so Yehuda was able to persuade him when he said, I am going to let you, I am going to have responsibility towards Binyamin. I'm going to do everything I can. And he did. So this was the first time when the idea of mutual responsibility appeared. And it is very interesting because in the Chassidut, in the Tiferet Shlomo of Rabbi Shlomo Mirodomsk, he is my favorite master of Chassidut. I like studying his works. It is beautiful. So he says that afterwards, after they were united and everything, and there was a happy end, Yaakov sent Yehuda to Eretz Goshen. That was the land that they were given to establish there a yeshiva which is going to study and deal with laws of mutual responsibility. That is what he says. And you could see it in this source number 3. And he says here, "Dehine kvar noda ki kol Yisrael arevim ze beze." All the people of Israel, they are responsible for each other. Yes?
איפה זה מופיע עליו?
In footnote number 3. Oh, no, page 3. So this is what he says at the end of the Parashat Vayigash. Now, we're going to move to our next station. And this is in source number 10, where it says D, all for one. So for thousands of years that passed since the saving of Lot, and until today, we actually numerous times we come across the trait of mutual responsibility. But the first time that we went to fight as a nation in order to save one person, all for one, this was in the war against the king of Arad. And it says in Parashat Chukat, which we read just a few weeks ago, it says there that emphasizes in the greatest way the trait of a mutual responsibility in the nation of Israel. It says like this, you could see in the middle of number 10. וישמע כנעני מלך ערד יושב הנגב, כי בא ישראל דרך האתרים, וילחם בישראל וישב ממנו שבי. The king of Arad, the Canaanite, heard that the nation of Israel is passing close. And he attacked the nation of Israel and was able to take into captivity one person. It says, Vayish mimeno shevi. And how do we know that it was one person? Rashi learns because it says, Bilshon Yachid. It says, Vayish mimeno shevi. If it was many people, it should have said, Shvuim, right? In the plural. But because it says it in the singular, it means it was one person. And what person it was? So it says, Rashi says, Eina ela shifcha achat. It was only one servant. So, what nation goes to war only to save one servant, one person? Only a nation who believes that the most important thing of all is to save any person of Israel who is in tzal, any person of Israel who is in shevi, and just a nation who put on its flag the principle of mutual responsibility in the greatest possible form. Only a nation like that, which is Am Yisrael. And now, it is important to try and understand the source of this unique character trait. So, what do you think? Where does this come? We have to go deeper and to try and understand.
He was a Midianite captive too, right? No? I heard the name. No? Thought.
What you mean?
The one that they took?
If it was a Midianite, a captive,
Female, right?
that's right. I am not sure if she was Midianite. Yet it could be that you are correct. I do not know.
It says she was a shifra, no?
Yeah.
Did you say what you want?
That's right. But
I don't know. I have no idea.
But it is very interesting what you were saying, because if she was a Midianite, so it is even more so, right? Very good, very good. Yeah. So, in the source 11, if it's something very, very interesting, that the Radbaz was a great commenter on the Rambam, on the Maimonides, and he says like this: Anu roim et kol Yisrael כאילו הם גוף אחד. We see the whole of Israel as if they are one body. ואף על פי שגופים מחולקים הם, even though they are separate bodies, כיוון שנשמותיהם ממקום אחד חוצבו, הרי הם כגוף אחד. But because of their souls come from one place, הרי הם כגוף אחד. We consider them as if they are one body, one entity. כי הנשמה היא עיקר. Because the soul is the most important. And this is what also the Baal Tanya, he says that in the nation of Israel, we are neshama achat begufim u'mecholakim, one soul in separate bodies. So, even if one Jew is in danger, we all feel it. As even if we all are in danger. Because Kol Yisrael arivim zeh lezeh. All of the people of Israel are responsible to each other. למה הם דומים? ומדרש לספינה שנקרא בבית אחד. אין אומרים נקרא בית אחד בספינה, אלא נקרא כל הספינה כולה. If one takes a big ship, and everyone has their own cabin in the ship, and in one cabin there's a hole. So we don't say it is your fault, it is your responsibility. No, if there's a hole in one cabin in the ship, the whole ship is in danger. The whole ship is going to sink. So the same thing in the nation of Israel. If something happens to one, it affects everyone. Now, if there are those who ask today, where did this great feeling of mutual responsibility and unity that was in Mivtza Tzuk Eitan, in Operation Protective Edge, which we felt 8 years ago, where did it all disappear? They are specifically in light of the fact that we are experiencing numerous elections that create difficult feelings in the nation of Israel. So where did this all disappear? What do you think?
In a sense that never disappeared from the people. It's always inside them, but came out only when there is a need of it.
Very good. So you were saying that it didn't disappear, it is always there, under the surface. That's right. And I would like to tell you a story, which I'm going to conclude with a story. Many years ago, there was a Chassid who was very close to his Rabbi. And the Chassid was a merchant. And for his business, he always used to wear clothes of a merchant. But every time that he used to come to his Rabbi, he used to change his clothes and used to wear proper Chassid clothes. One day, the Chassid felt that he is not being honest when he comes to the Rabbi with his Chassid clothes, and at the same time, and every day, he wears, he is dressed up as a businessman. So one day, he decided to come to his Rabbi with his business clothes. And then when he came to his Rabbi to receive a blessing, so the Rabbi asked him, "Where are your clothes of a Chassid?" So he told him, "I would like to be honest. That is why I come to you dressed as a businessman." The Rebbe answered him, "Who told you what is your true clothes, and who told you what is the costume? I tell you that the clothes that you wear as a Chassid, that is your true clothes. And the clothes that you wear as a businessman, that is a costume." Just a second, it is in the middle of the momentum, so hold your horses. So, like in the story, the mutual responsibility that appeared throughout the generations, and in the operation in Gaza, the 2014, which we really saw the mutual responsibility of the nation of Israel. This is our true self. And countless elections, that is just our costume. The great spirit of Achdut, unity and mutual responsibility that appeared in Tzuk Eitan, in the operation in Gaza, it did not disappear. It is over here. As you said, it is under the surface. And we just have to take off the costume and be true to our true self, true unity. And then, B'ezrat Hashem, the great light of Achdut and mutual responsibility from Avraham Avinu to Yehuda and Binyamin, and to Am Yisrael, who went and saved one servant, all for one, is also going to be in our days. What did you want to say, Moshe?
Your story reminded me of a similar story, but I guess with sort of the opposite ending from Rav Kook. And there's a story of Rav Kook that when people who were Chiloni or Masarti would come visit him, Rav Kook wanted them to come as they felt most comfortable. So if you did not wear bederach, if you bederach klal did not wear a kippah, Rav Kook did not want you to show up wearing a kippah. If you wore kippah but no tzitzis, he didn't want you to show up wearing tzitzis. If you dressed in street clothes, he didn't want you showing up dressed black and white. So it's I feel it's a story with the opposite ending. But in a way, it still says the same thing as, be who you really are. What is it that you really are?
That's right. Is it how you live your normal life, or what you dream to be, what you want to be? And our true self, it's actually what we are. It is unity and mutual responsibility. This is who we are. So, B'ezrat Hashem, b'mirabi yameinu. Good evening, everyone.